Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Ben the Human Plays Vagrus The Riven Realms. I've wandered over towards the Great Stairs and we found the second location of the water, so we will start here. Far behind you on the column you hear a familiar voice using your name, trying to get your attention. You turn, slightly irritated, until you see the well-digger Uthar and his apprentices. A moment of your time, Vagrus. You signal that your commies should halt and indulge the man. A sneaking suspicion about where you are forms in your mind. The bearded prospector confirms it. This is one of the places, he practically shouts, his enthusiasm made plain. Now, if you can find the time for us to do a bit of prospecting, I can assure you that we won't have to come back here. Well, not unless we want to, of course. You tell him to get started. He raises an enthusiastic fist, pumping it in the air as though he'd secured some great victory. Appreciated, Vagrus, he says, nodding. Dimitri, ready the apprentices. The other full-fledged member, the swarthy Dimitri, nods and begins corralling the apprentices until the area has been cleared. Uthar takes up his dowsing rod. Low rhythmic chanting begins and Uthar leads the effort, slowly stepping forward. Y-shaped dowsing rod extended. The apprentices follow his lead, and soon they make a trio of well-diggers, each treading in unison. Serene melody, a welcoming contrast to the harsh and bitter heat you have come to expect of these lands. After no more than an hour, Uthar's apprentices have marked several patches of ground on the plateau, where they begin to excavate. Though they do not dig too deep, instead, the prospectors only cover what is necessary. In time, a well will be dug out of the earth, but only where the water flows are the most generous. Or at least that is what you have come to understand about the process. When one particular spot has been isolated, Uthar retires, patting each of his fellows on the back before strolling toward you. A subtle nod and a warm smile later, you find the stout prospector standing beside you, arms folded and head held high. You see fit to make conversation, albeit small talk, asking the man if the site looks to be as promising as he had imagined. Aye, he confirms, although truthfully most sites still yield more than I would expect each time. At least in this aspect, very little has changed since the earlier days of the Order. Well, other than the fact that I'm much older, eh? I dare say I'm getting on. Yeah. Let's learn about the well-diggers in the earlier years. Is that a tale you'd like to hear then, Vagrus? He says, seeking the go-ahead. You nod and he grins, features coming to life. I grew up near the dead forest, he explains. It was just my two brothers and I, of course, and our grouchy father. Looking back, I suppose I'd say he was all right. An all-right sort, but the truth was, after the death of my eldest sibling, I couldn't take it anymore. So I fled, leaving them all behind. I'm sure it wasn't the most intelligent of choices, but, well, it led me to Scrap Heap. I was lucky enough to fall in with a Vagrus, not unlike you, near the River Umbra, and it turned out he was Scrap Heap bound. That's where I met Hothia and the other well-diggers. You ask him what Hothia was like when he was younger. Or she was younger. Not so different from how she is now. You could say she recruited me, he says, shrugging. Perhaps she was a little more idealistic and pious back then. Her and the others have always had a reverence for Laviena, and that goes beyond simple offerings that most regular folk make, and myself included. But there's no shocking secret about the woman or the Order. I learned this fairly early on, and as time passed, I found myself quietly content with the work. Do you know how many lives have been sustained on the water beneath the town? Many thousands, I'm sure. As the hours drift by, Uthar has more tales from his younger days. Whoops. He speaks of the cruel and punishing work he was forced to do as a youth, and how the dead forest came to be take his brother's life, and his flight from the cottage near Stygios lumber camp. At the end of the stories, Dimitri marks the area for future excavation, and the apprentices come to bequeath you with a little water. Uthar turns your way once more. We're all finished here. Looks like this is one of the richest locales we've seen in a while, he adds. Most of the water is deep, though. On to the next one. You tell the eager prospector you shall keep it in your mind. Alright, so 2 down, 3 to go. We've got Anguished Spirits, Prospecting Site, and the Hidden Graves seem to be the next things that we can knock off. And then I think we want to swing down here before we head back up to the Bastion. I'm kind of thinking we probably want to pop over to the Forum of Trophies as well. So the Great Stairs are here. Have I ever been to the Great Stairs? I don't know. Let's go back down to the road here. I think we just go straight south. That seems to make the most sense to me. We've got 11 days worth of supplies, so we're doing just fine. Oh! Between the campfires and a weary crew at the end of a long day, I'm gonna get a screenshot of this. You sit and ruminate, sharing stories, taking care of matters requiring delegation, the prospect of turning in for the night at the forefront of your mind, and then a pleasant sight of the stoic Uthar comes to you. He sits next to you and seems eager to chat. Good evening, friend Vagrus. Nice night in the wasteland, if I do say so myself. You agree and ask him what is on his mind. I was wondering if you might spare a well-digger the time for a wee chat. In the time to travel together, I've come to value your counsel. Sure enough, the prospector's smiling eyes look at you with the same kind of anticipation you have come to expect. I kind of wonder if, like, you telling him to go away would negate these opportunities to talk with him. It's interesting. So that's why I've been letting him talk, because I feel like if I don't let him talk, he won't come talk to me afterwards. A warm smile and a nod belie his satisfaction. Thank you. How have you been faring anyway? You give him your answer and he listens intently while you regale him with the trials and tribulations of the comitatus, such as they are. When you return to the question, he pauses and then, or when you return the question, he pauses and then lowers his head. Ostensibly, these are the thoughts he sought you out to share. After all this time, it is hard to say, but I will say it, because it must be said, he begins. For the first time in my lifetime, I fear for Vonnerud's future. The sentiment is not a difficult one to share, which you make abundantly and albeit subtly clear. Aye, he says, he agrees, frowns creasing his brow. You've seen it too, of course, but what I really worry about is the order, the well-diggers. How in Leviena's name will we endure? There are too many of these madmen about, and well, the people are leaving. The old scrap heap is no more, the whole region is dying, and perhaps, just perhaps, this is where it all ends. This feeling, friend Vagrus, I cannot escape it. Observing silence for a moment, he prompts the question you know is coming. What do you think? Are Vonnerud and the Order doomed? Am I being driven mad? Contemn the region? Be neutral? Advise him not to dwell so much. Sympathize with his thoughts. You cannot. I think that we are fully capable of turning this around. If we help whoever could become the next Scrap King and help the well diggers find wells and you know, give like the Hollow Men control of the Vonnerud region, I think we can stabilize, you know, as well as you can in this region of the world. I think we totally can do that. We've dealt with wars. I feel like killing an entire like species of sandworms to save Tectum Carvos this pales in comparison to that. Uthar nods slowly, bearing his gaze down while he contemplates your opinion. The two of you discuss the topic for a while longer, until finally content, the prospector turns to you once more with gratitude in his eyes. Thank you, friend Vagrus. You've given me much to think on. Now I'd best put these old bones to bed, and I dare say you look as though you could use some shut-eye too. Sweet dreams. After thanking the well-digger for the exchange, you make your way to your bedroll. Well, there you go. What is this place? That looks cool. Oh, it's a giant statue. Neat. It is not on the map. All right. There's a giant lizard skull. It's a 6-legged lizard skeleton. That's amazing. I think we just keep doing neutral guarding. It's got to be directly south of the entombed town. I feel like it has to be over the lizard bridge. We take the lizard bridge. I hope we have enough supplies for this. I'm realizing it might be a little harrowing, because I don't think there's a way to get across the river. But we're gonna do our best. Okay. All right, we're right at the edge. I think we should go up and then down. Okay. We did waste a little bit of space, but all right, we're gonna help the orcs here now. The bleak, craggy expanse has been steadily rising for the better part of an hour. Smoke clings to the ground and flecks of ash flit from the hazy air. The terrain rises ahead of you, becoming jagged and even steeper than before. You catch yourself looking at it with a frown, just as Urdok walks up to you. This is the place, Vagrus, he says, panting but smiling. Even now I can feel the anger of the spirits, but we're almost certain that we'll be able to calm them with our ritual. He points toward the top of the hills ahead. Up there, unfortunately. That is, if you're ready to do this. We are, of course. Yeah, we're ready. So we get to bring our full squad. There we go. I was like, something's wrong here. Once you pick your team, you leave the rest of the Comitatus behind. They will settle into an easily defensible position among the crags, but keep a distance from the ritual. And so you begin to climb. The ascent is arduous, and the sulfurous air is so oppressive that you feel that your lungs are going to burn up. The shamans are pushing through the pain and the fatigue with sheer force of will, spearheading the climb. Looking back, the Comitatus seems like a tiny ember in the ashes of a great bonfire. At length, the party reaches the summit of the largest hill and emerges onto an uneven but largely flat expanse overlooking the surrounding valleys. A great mountain peak rises to the east, but it is dwarfed by the Cyclopean range to the west, crowned by distant fire. This is it, Urdak whispers over his coughs. You take a look at the serrated rocks that stand in odd patterns around this place and express your doubts, but the shaman insists. The spirits here are the key to purifying this place, Urdak concludes. We shall begin. Please, Vagrus, give us some space and time while you're at it. Soon the preparations for the spirit cleansing ritual are underway. They place totems, begin to beat their drums and draw expressive images on the rocks. You and your companions spread out and wait in anticipation. The handful of orc shamans begin the ritual, and it is as you would expect. There are lots of stomping of feet, leaping around the freshly decorated rocks, throaty singing, and beating of drums. Halfway through, you swear that you can see horrifying spectral figures phase into existence for blinks of an eye. Their swirling dance begins to make some sense. You believe that the floating movements follow the pattern of jagged rocks on the plateau, as if tracing some marking impressed upon the mountains by the gods. I probably should have gotten the blessing of unbinding, now that I think about it. Over the cacophony of the singing, drumming, spectral screams, and the howling of the wind, you begin to sense a faint rumbling. It gets more pronounced in a matter of seconds, and then launches into a fully fledged earthquake. Among the groaning and rumbling of the very ground, you desperately hold on to a large rock for balance. The earthquake ceases for a few moments, and then you rise from the ground, covered in bruises. You see a large shape move onto the plateau. With stomping steps, it is headed for the shamans, who are still in a trance, unaware of the danger. You order your companions to move between the gigantic assailant and the orcs, and as they do, you realize the creature is made of stones and rocks. Its earthy form is somewhat humanoid, though it has excess appendages, and although what stands for its head is obscured, it moans as if in agony. It shakes itself, and several smaller earth elementals fall off it, joining the assault. Vagrus! Urdak pleads you over the clamor. We must stop it! Else all is in vain! He leaves the shamanic circle and joins you in battle. Excuse me? You're gonna take up a valuable slot. Look at these weird dudes. 80 or 40 damage. Do you think they're weak to fire? Oh, dang. They're resistant. Oh, they're super resistant to electricity. So let's kick out Vinderath here. Because she wouldn't have been able to damage them anyway. Good hit. Boost Kreefta. Gorgoro, try to kill this little guy. He's dead. I'm gonna throw some wards. I don't know if they'll do a lot of damage to them, but... You actually have a heal? That's kind of awesome. Spiritual guidance. Evade, block, power. Sure. Let's give that to Gorgoro. You did not punch Gorgoro. Oh, he hit everybody. Alright, I don't know if you took any damage there. Nice crit. Well done. He's dead. And now everybody just tag team this guy. Yeah, the fire was a bad decision. I should have brought Garrick. Rock throw? Oh, he just hit the whole front line. It's just a war of attrition at this point. Everybody just non-stop attack this guy. We would like to debuff him since I don't think my fire is actually harming him. That wasn't too bad. With the last attacks, the creature falls apart, turning into a heap of rocky debris and dirt. Its slightly humanoid form is gone and it moves no more. A minute later, the ritual singing and stomping reaches its crescendo, and you witness specters bursting forth from the very earth itself around you. Their ghastly faces are contorted in anger and despair, but they are unable to resist the immense pull of the unseen force at the shaman's disposal. The ethereal figures twist and screech briefly in the air before dissipating into nothingness, and shedding their anger and floating away in a surprisingly tranquil manner. In a minute or so it is over, and the clamor's aftermath, only the whistling of the wind and the distant rumblings of the mountains remain. To your horror, however, you can see that not all of the malevolence was expunged, and some of the specters have fled the shaman's grasp. They are now heading toward the southwest like a spirit host gone insane from rage. They leave our comitatus. They are too spent to be any use of you. They are going for the comitatus. Run! You take your companions and rush after the spectral host, but by then they have gained a considerable head start. They ignore your yelled challenges and bent on unleashing their anger on your crew instead of turning to face you. When you finally catch up to them, they are already engaged in a fight. They have 0 power? I'm very confused. The barricades aren't making any difference here. Oh, wait. Go normal barricades, boost it, shield wall actually makes things worse, so I think something bugged out there. Either that or we killed enough of them. I don't know, that was weird. We win! Just when the fight is about to end, the spectral host simply disappears, their anger dissipating as a strange calmness settles on the area. You wait a while, but no other threat emerges, so you turn to counting your losses and taking care of the wounded. The arrival of Urdok's group of shamans is preceded by low chanting. They rejoin the comitatus, exhausted but victorious. They rejoin. It is done, Vagrus, he tells you, wiping sweat from his brow. The spirits of this place were placated or vanquished. Their anger is gone now, and thus the accursed stretch of land has been cleansed. We hope it shall stay so. Why did the attack happen? The pent-up malevolence, pain, and anger of the forsaken spirits changed the material world around us, Urdok explains. You may have noticed that the things on the plateau seemed strangely twisted, a sign of this corruption. When the spirits were being purified by your ritual, they struck out in anger, imbuing the very earth with rage. That was the creature you fought up there. Such manifestations are common in these mountains. I'm sad to acknowledge that then the ritual completed, most of the rituals or spirits were cleansed, but some managed to slip away. We were protected by their ethereal forms up there on the hill, so they turned their ire toward the closest living beings, your crew. Good thing is that they won't be able to harm anyone ever again. They are at peace. Alright, other things to worry about. Let's head out. We've gained insight. We will camp. We did lose a little bit of vigor there. Good healing. And then we have to go down to these prospecting sites and the hidden graves here. We have 7 days worth of supplies. Is that enough? I'm gonna pause the video here. I'm gonna run over to the forum of trophies off camera, and then I will bring you back at the next prospecting site. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back. All right, we're back, everybody. I wandered over to the forum of trophies. I wandered over to Doomgrok, got some more fighters, and I got a couple workers as well to increase the amount of supplies we could carry with us. Otherwise, it was going to be kind of a rough go to get all the way out here, but I think we have enough supplies to do both the water prospecting and the hidden graves, and then make it back to probably to Doomgrok, because you kind of have to do this roundabout way to get to the forum of trophies before we run out of food. Anyway, let's go. Uthar strolls up to you at the head of your comitatus's column, eager for a word. As always, his smiling eyes and stoic yet soft countenance tell the story his words cannot, or do not. There is a spring in his step. Hail, friend Vagrus. Apologies for the intrusion, but I thought I'd best let you know that this is the place. You might wish to keep an eye out. I'm told there are lunatics aplenty near the Ember mines. All kinds, apparently. We're ready to start when you are. Just give the word. Bringing up the rear behind him, his two apprentices shuffle nervously behind their leader. For a troop of well-diggers, they appear to be about as raring to go as they could. Let them get to prospecting? Splendid, he says, grinning ear to ear. Then let us begin. You might as well get comfortable with your komes. This will take a while. And so you do. You watch as Uthar takes up his dowsing rod, chanting ritualistically, and begins to walk about while his apprentices shadow him. They too mirror his murmuring chants. Off to the side, his fellow member, Dimitri, joins in, and a low chorus mingles in with Varnarud's hot whistling wind. Slowly but surely, Uthar steps out with his rod. The two Y-shaped prongs at his front stock still. The four men stride in a rhythmic, deliberate fashion, and their gait, their robes, and solemn chanting a stark contrast from which you have come to expect from these lands. Suddenly, Uthar stops, and you see that his rod is pitched down. Without a command spoken, the apprentices reveal digging implements, while Uthar himself continues to stroll, occasionally stopping to mark a new part of the ground. Soon the bearded well-digger steps back, watching as his apprentices dig up various sections of the ground. They pay attention to one in particular, where each digs from a separate side. This, it would seem, is where the well shall eventually be dug. A stolen glance from Uthar confirms that the man is lost in thought, and he looks almost wistful. We'll ask him what's on his mind. He turns to you, and in his eyes you see a stronger reflection of the wistfulness you observed a moment ago. Me? Oh, no bother, I was just thinking of older times, taking in the scenery, you know, that kind of thing, he says, exhaling the hot mountain air as though he were standing on the edge of a tranquil oasis. You nudge him to elaborate, genuinely interested in his thoughts. Half a decade after I joined the Well-Diggers, I came here for the first time, he reveals. It was so different then, calmer, more tranquil. Of course we've done this run many times over, he admits, yet in those days everything seemed so simple, idealistic. We established the wells here, as we always have, but back then there was a sense of purpose that seemed to transcend the quieter moments. Everything changes, I suppose. Perhaps I'm just getting older, You nod and ask him what the Ember mines were like back in those days. Well, we're talking more than 20 years ago now, and by the gods, things were different. Some of the gangs were the same, that's true, but they were milder, and they kept to themselves. I've even developed a relationship with several leaders. Can you imagine that? I've never been a fighting man. Oh, sure, I can hold my own, but back then we'd visit the gangs, help them out here and there, and we had so much fun despite the climate. Truth be told, I've come to enjoy it. He smiles warmly and chuckling, turning his head away as he waves a dismissive hand. Those days are long gone. You decide not to respond and instead change the topic, learning about Uthar's earlier life and how he came to Scrap Heap as a runaway, and joining the Well-Diggers, the friends he had and the times they shared. The conversation moves along at a leisurely pace, and at the end of the long hours, you see the apprentices and Dimitri have isolated one particular spot on the ground. They give you some water, carve markings onto the nearby rock to denote the future well's position, and then Uthar returns to you, pregnant words forming on his lips. Not words, worms, ew. We'll need to move on to the next site at some point, when you're ready, that is. We will return to our duties, and then we will head on to the Ember mines down here. Get a quick rest in. I'm looking. Oh, there's a place called Ember Town here. A ruin, though. I was like, do they have food? But no, you have to go to a village to get food, so we will... I don't think there's a way to get across. Maybe if we went to this statue, do you think we could knock this statue down and make a bridge? Is that something you can do in this game? That'd be pretty baller. All right, we still have 5 movement. I'm really tempted to go to this little guy here because I have a feeling that's might be where the... That's not what I was expecting. I was gonna say that might be where the graves we're looking for are. But honestly, I'm totally okay fighting a pack of Jacra here at the end of the episode because Jacra are a great source of supplies. And we can use our sorcerers because they're not resistant to fire and lightning. Just stab them a bunch. And then light them on fire. One down. Nice miss, nerd. You're gonna move to the front. Yep. Chain lightning. I would like to kill this one that can move twice, or at least stun it. It was not stunned, but it was kicked to the back row. I don't know if you can do anything back there. Ow. Oh, an evasion. Color me surprised. Another chain lightning. Oh, double kill. Another double kill. Sick. All right, that went downhill for them in a hurry. And we get all the supplies. Gosh darn it. Okay, Garrett getting hurt is a meme for sure, but you guys getting yourselves injured is not acceptable. All right. I'm willing to sacrifice whoever this was to kill the dudes and get my workers back. Please tell me. Oh, they died. That sucks. We lost 3 people. Are you kidding me? Frickin' Jacra. Well, we have boatloads of supplies now. Don't take that. That's foolhardy at best. All right, we're not gonna move from this spot. We will rest here. Now we have to kick out some stuff. So cargo. We've taken as many supplies as we could. It sucks that we lost those 3 guys because now we can't carry. We would have been able to carry another stack of food, but alas. All right, so I think the graves must be in and around in that space then. Okay, cool. Well, we're gonna pause the episode there. We will come back to explore the graves next time. So if you guys enjoyed the episode, please click the like button. It helps me out a lot. If you want to see more episodes of Vagrus The Riven Realms or the other videos I have going on the channel, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you have your notifications on so you know when the next videos go live. But until next time, everybody, I hope you had a good one, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye, everybody.